You're sitting alone. The last message she sent was 2 days ago, no response since. You replay the last moment you were with her. How she smiled a little longer, leaned in a little closer. You felt it. You knew she cared. So why is she now silent? Your mind says she's losing interest, but your gut, it's screaming something deeper. What if I told you her silence is not rejection, but a test? What if her distance isn't punishment, but a signal? And what if your reaction right now will either destroy her attraction or make it unshakable? Comment below. I rise, not chase. That phrase will anchor your mindset for the rest of this journey. This video is for those who've ever asked, why is she ignoring me if she said she cared? You're about to learn why women withdraw when they love you and exactly what you must do, not for manipulation, for mastery of self, presence and attraction. And if this message hits deep, support this channel, not for me, but for the next man sitting in that same silence, wondering if she loves him or not. Number 1, she feels you even when silent. While you're obsessing over her lack of response, wondering if you said something wrong, replaying every moment like a movie on repeat, she's in her own world, feeling, watching, sensing. You think she's gone cold. You assume she's losing interest. But what you don't see is that her silence is speaking louder than her words ever could. A woman doesn't just disconnect randomly. She feels everything. Your energy shift, your insecurity growing, your neediness creeping in beneath your words. And when that shift happens, when you start depending on her validation to feel strong, she instinctively pulls back, not to hurt you, not to manipulate you. This is where most men break. They panic, they react, they text back faster, call more, post to get her attention. They let the fear drive their next move. But the truth is, every time you act from fear, you prove to her that you're not who she hoped you'd be. She's not ignoring you because she hates you. She's seeing if the strength she thought she saw in you was real or just performance. She wants to know if you crumble when she retreats. She wants to feel if your energy remains steady when hers withdraws. That moment of silence isn't just silence. It's the battlefield of attraction. And the man who survives that battlefield isn't the one who fights for her attention. It's the one who doesn't need it. She feels when you're grounded. She feels when you're unbothered. And most importantly, she feels when you're trying too hard to keep her close because you're afraid of losing her. Attraction isn't built in comfort, it's built in tension, in the unknown, in the test. So what do you do when she pulls away? You stop chasing. You stop asking why. You stop replaying conversations. Instead, you start building your power. You hit the gym. You tighten your schedule. You master your time. You double down on your mission. Because women are not drawn to your words. They're drawn to your gravitational pull. The quieter you become, the louder your energy speaks. When she withdraws, let her. When she ignores you, hold the line. When she doesn't validate you, validate yourself. Because the minute she sees that your peace doesn't depend on her presence, her curiosity will ignite. That's how nature works. What runs away becomes desirable. What clings becomes repelling. Every time you prove that you can stand still when she moves, you're becoming the man she thought you were at the beginning. The man who had purpose beyond her. The man who had peace within chaos. The man who didn't need her love to love himself. So how do you pass this test? Start with your presence. Kill the urge to text. Replace it with action. Go so deep into your life that her absence feels like silence, not loss. Show her not through messages, but through your indifference, that you are the type of man who attracts, not chases. That you don't panic, you pivot. That you don't beg, you build. Because while she's trying to feel you in your silence, what she's really hoping for is proof that you are unshakable, not just in your confidence, but in your soul. Speak less, move with intention, Let your absence echo louder than your neediness ever could. You are not losing her. You are being watched by her emotional radar, and every move you make right now will either tell her you are just like the rest or unlike any man she's ever met. Now ask yourself, are you the man who needs her to respond to feel worthy? Or are you the man who becomes so powerful in her silence, she starts to wonder what she lost by pulling away? Number 2, you must be the wall, not the wind. While she's pulling away, watching silently from a distance, what she's really doing is measuring your gravity, not your words, not your effort, your stability. The second she senses you slipping into reaction mode, you start to unravel the attraction she was once curious about. If she sends one word replies, and you start over-texting to get a reaction, you lose. If she gets distant and you flood her with concern and validation, you lose. If she tests your boundaries and you backpedal to stay like, you lose. Not because she wants to destroy you, but because she wants to see what you're made of when she steps back. A man who needs her constant attention to feel valuable is not a man she can feel safe around. A man who becomes emotionally erratic when she doesn't respond is a man she cannot emotionally trust. She needs to know that if the storm hits, your feet are still on the ground, that when she spirals, you stand tall, that when she tests, you don't flinch. Being the wall isn't about being cold. It's about being composed, not robotic, but rooted, unshakable, unmoved by the temporary chaos around you. Women are emotional by nature, not because they're weak, but because they feel deeply, intensely, quickly, but they will never surrender to a man who collapses the moment her emotions change. When she says, "I need space," she's not asking for a reaction, she's watching for one. Do you crumble and beg? Or do you respect the space and double down on your purpose? When she's cold and withdrawn, do you start proving yourself? Or do you stay present, grounded, and centered in your truth? The wall isn't built by ignoring her. It's built by not being controlled by her emotions. That's the core. When her emotional ocean tries to crash against your peace, do you hold the shoreline, or do you drown in it? You need to understand, emotional self-control is power, the ability to pause before reacting, to breathe instead of panicking, to observe instead of obsessing. That's what separates boys from men. That's what makes her feel safe. Not comfort safe, but soul safe. The kind of safety that makes her want to let go of control and rest in your presence. So, what do? You stop asking her to regulate your feelings. You stop making her the center of your emotional world. You stop giving away your power just to stay in her good graces. Instead, you build your mission so strong that her silence becomes background noise. You build your life so meaningful that her moods don't disrupt your momentum. You train your mind so deeply that you don't react. You respond with clarity and composure. She doesn't want you to be indifferent. She wants you to be inevitable. She wants your presence to speak louder than your pleas. She wants your silence to feel like thunder, not retreat. And if you become that man, the wall, the unshakable one, then no matter how chaotic her storm gets, she will always come back to you. Not because you chased, not because you proved anything, but because you showed her, without a single word, that you are the kind of man no storm can move. And in a world full of emotional winds and unstable ground, that kind of presence is rare and unforgettable. Ask yourself this: do you react every time she shifts? Or do you anchor yourself so deeply that her tests don't trigger fear, but reveal your strength? Be the wall. She doesn't want to shake you. She wants to see if you can't be shaken. Number 3. Her cows needs your calm. She doesn't want you to chase her panic. She wants you to be the one place she can't shake. You ever wonder why she suddenly pulls away when things feel intense? Why she acts cold, unpredictable, or even distant right after showing deep emotion? It's not because she's over you. It's not because she's playing games. It's because emotionally she's spinning. She's confused by her own feelings, and she needs one thing from you: stability. See, a woman's emotional world can be like a storm. Beautiful, powerful, but unstable. And when she starts feeling something real, when she starts catching feelings she can't control, that's when she begins to test you. Not on purpose, but because her nervous system needs to know, can he hold me down when I can't hold myself? Most guys fail this test. They chase. They explain. They react to every shift in her mood like a puppet on strings. And the second you do that, you're done. Because now you're just another man she can sway with her chaos. You become predictable, emotional, fragile. That's not what she wants. She doesn't need you to fix her feelings. She needs to see if you can remain grounded when hers are out of control. That's where calm becomes your weapon. When she's distant, you don't panic. When she's snappy, you don't argue. When she pulls away, you hold your frame. Not with silence that punishes, but with stillness that speaks louder than words. You show her that her emotional storm doesn't dictate your behavior, that your world doesn't collapse just because hers is shaking, and that's the most attractive, magnetic, masculine thing you can do. Because real calm isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the presence that says, I don't need to chase your mood, I stay in mine. This calm doesn't come from pretending. It comes from doing the work, from knowing your value, from mastering your emotions so well that no one gets to hijack your peace. You become the anchor, the lighthouse, the mountain she can't move. And here's the twist. The moment she sees you won't react to her chaos, that's when she starts feeling safe again. Because now you're not matching her turbulence. You're balancing it. You're not another source of emotional noise. You're the silence between the notes, the thing that makes the music make sense. And once she feels that, her respect for you shifts. She no longer sees you as someone she can toss around emotionally. She sees you as unchangeable. And to a woman with deep feelings, that's rare. That's attractive. That's unforgettable. So when you feel her acting strange, pulling away, or losing herself, don't fall into her storm. Don't respond to every spike in emotion with panic. Instead, pull back into your center. Breathe. Hold the line. Stay calm. Let her chaos play out around you, not inside you. Because the man who doesn't react, he doesn't just win her back. He earns something deeper, her trust. And that's what makes her stay. Not because you chased her, not because you fixed anything, but because in the middle of her fire, you stayed cool. Droppa comment. I remained calm. And listen, if you think that was powerful, you're going to want to stick around for what's next. It's not just about holding still. It's about how to hold the frame when everything starts testing you at once. Number 4. Let her walk, but leave the door open. If she wants to leave, let her. I'm serious. No begging, no chasing, no last-minute Hail Mary confessions. Let her walk. Because the truth is, a woman who truly respects you will never walk away without a reason. And if she's walking, your job isn't to stop her, it's to stand still and watch. But here's where most men get it twisted. They think letting her walk means slamming the door behind her. They think going no contact is about cutting her off to win some imaginary power battle. That's not Stoicism. That's insecurity dressed up like strength. True masculine calm says, go. He won't stop you. But the door, it's not locked. You're just not being chased through it. That's the difference. See, women feel everything deeply. They don't always process love logically. Sometimes, walking away is her way of protecting herself. Sometimes, it's her way of testing yours. And when you slam the door, block her, delete her, or go scorched earth just to take control, you're showing her exactly what she feared. That your strength was conditional, that your calm was fake, that your love had strings. But when you let her go and leave the door open behind her, you tell a different story. You show her that you're not afraid of her distance, that you're not clinging, that your value doesn't depend on being chosen. And that shakes her, because now she's not running from chaos. She's walking away from peace. And when a woman leaves a man who radiates peace, she starts to feel the weight of that silence. Not right away, but slowly, deeply, endlessly. She checks her phone. Nothing. She posts a story. Still, nothing. Not because you're ignoring her, but because you're not reacting. You're not making her absence louder than her presence. You're not chasing ghosts. You're just living, fully, grounded, certain. That's what leaving the door open really means. It means you don't force her return. You allow her to feel your absence without punishment. Because the men who try to cut her off don't realize it's not the silence that gets her attention. It's the energy behind it. Silence fueled by pain? She feels that. She ignores it. Silence rooted in power. That's different. That's what pulls her back. And here's the most critical part. When she comes back, if she does, you don't greet her with, "Where have you been?" You don't punish her. You don't flex. You meet her with calm, with presence, with boundaries. You don't make it easy, but you make it real. You let her walk, yes, but you also leave the door open because you know who you are. And you know that if she chooses to come back, it's because she felt something worth returning to, not because you manipulated her return. That's where men reclaim their power, not in control, but in release. Letting go doesn't mean you're done. It means you're disciplined enough to not grip what needs space. You don't hold her with force. You hold her with presence, even when she's not there. So, if she wants to leave, let her. Let her feel the silence. Let her question her choice. Let her realize the difference between emotional noise and masculine stillness. And when she looks back, because they always do, she won't see anger. She won't see desperation. She'll see a man standing exactly where she left him. Better, sharper, quieter, unbothered. Because you let her walk, but you never lost yourself. Drop a comment. I hold the door. And don't go anywhere. What comes next is what separates the calm from the unshakable. You'll want to hear it. Number 5. Stand still when she runs. She pulls away. And your instinct? Run after her. Say something. Text her. Chase the energy you're suddenly missing. But what if I told you that's the exact moment you're supposed to stand still? See, when a woman runs, it's rarely about escape. It's about control. It's about pressure building inside her and her needing to do something in thee to release it. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's confusion. Sometimes it's testing to see if you'll break character. But here's what most men do. They reach. They follow. They beg for reassurance. And in doing that, they confirm what she secretly feared, that you need her more than you need your own dignity. Now look, this isn't about playing games. This isn't about some cold, robotic, emotional strategy. This is about posture. When she runs, don't chase. Don't mirror her anxiety. Don't try to fix her storm with frantic energy. Stand still. Not with arrogance, not with bitterness, but with rootedness. Like a man who knows who he is, even if she's confused about who she wants. This is where real attraction is born. Not in words, not in explanations, but in your refusal to betray your own center. Because if you can't hold frame when she pulls away, then you're not the anchor she's subconsciously looking for. You become another wave in her ocean of chaos, and she's had enough of that already. So, what does standing still really look like? It means not overreacting to her silence. It means staying focused on your mission, not on her messages. It means trusting that if she's real, she'll circle back. And if she's not, then no amount of chasing will change that anyway. Most guys don't get this. They think love is proven by pursuit. But women don't test your effort. They test your stability. When she runs, she's watching to see if you fall apart. If your world shrinks without her. If her distance breaks your discipline, don't let it. Stand tall. Stand quiet. Stand calm. You don't need to punish her with silence. But you also don't owe her your peace on demand. Let her feel the absence without making a scene. Because when she's running, she's hoping you'll give her a reason to stop. Not with emotion, not with words, but with presence. That's the paradox. She wants to know that you'll stay unshaken even when she tries to shake you. And if you do, that's when she starts to feel something she hasn't felt in a while. Respect, security, desire. But none of that happens if you panic, if you text paragraphs, if you show up uninvited, if you try to force what she needs space to feel. Stand still. That's how you become the man she remembers when the noise dies down. That's how you become the silence that echoes louder than her chaos. That's how you earn her attention, not demand it. She may not come back, but if she does, let it be because she chose to. Not because you begged her to. Not because you manipulated it. But because your energy stood out from every other man who chased her shadow. Let them run. Let them panic. Let them prove they don't know who they are without her. You know better. You're not the man who chases movement. You're the man who becomes the place she wants to stop running. Drop a comment. I stand still. And listen closely. If you think this is the peak of power, you're about to discover a whole new level. Stay right here. Number 6. Become a man she can't shake. Every man thinks he wants to be unforgettable until he realizes what it takes. You see, being unforgettable isn't about looks. It's not about status. It's not about money, charm, or the perfect lines. It's about presence. A presence that lingers. Not because you were flashy, but because you were solid. Most guys disappear the moment a woman disconnects emotionally. They either vanish in silence, hoping she'll notice the void, or worse, they go full desperation mode, trying to win her attention back. Neither of those men are remembered. They're replaced. But the man she can't shake? He's the one who didn't flinch when she pulled back. The one who didn't sell his soul trying to stay relevant in her world. He stayed grounded. She threw storm. She didn't budge. She tested silence. He didn't beg. She gave mixed signals. She gave clarity by doing nothing chaotic in return. That's the paradox women don't talk about. They'll act like they want butterflies, drama, sparks, emotional highs and lows. But what makes a woman lie awake at night thinking about a man isn't chaos. It's consistency under pressure. It's the weight of a man she couldn't shake. Because he never tried to force her to feel anything. He just stayed real, solid, present. And when she finally stepped back to breathe, that's all she could still feel him. Not his neediness, not his anger, not his chase. Just his presence, burned into her mind. That's the man she replays. So how do you become that man? You stop responding to every emotional shift she throws your way. You stop trying to mirror her mood just to feel connected. You stop needing her energy to feel whole. And you start showing her something rare. A man whose identity doesn't bend under romantic pressure. She says something to test you. You don't over-explain. She goes cold. You stay calm. She pulls away. You don't chase. It's not about being cold. It's about being collected. Because deep down, every woman is watching how you hold yourself when she tries to shake you. She's looking to see, does he crumble? Does he cling? Does he get emotional just because I do? And if you fail that test, even once, her respect starts slipping. Not because she's cruel, but because something inside her is wired to respond to strength. And here's the thing, that strength doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to flex. It doesn't need to prove. It just is. You become the man she can't shake by becoming the man who can't be moved. Even if she leaves. Even if she tries to forget you. Even if she tells herself, I'm over him. If you held your frame. If you didn't flinch. If you stayed in your lane while she spun in hers. She remembers. Maybe not today. Maybe not next week. But when the noise dies down, when the novelty of attention fades, you come back. Not because you reached out, but because your energy left an imprint her body can't unfeel. And the wild part? It doesn't even matter if she comes back. That's not the point. The point is, you're not chasing validation. You're not adjusting yourself to match her whims. You've built something in yourself that no one can touch. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not because you tried to be, but because you stopped trying at all. You just stood still and let her learn what it means to lose a man like that. Drop a comment. I don't flinch. And if you've made it this far, stay locked in, because what's coming next will flip everything you thought you knew about feminine psychology. Number 7. She pulls back to see if you'll break. This isn't about distance. It's a test. When she starts pulling back, texts slower, acts colder, gives you that distant look, she's not always walking away. She's watching what you'll do when her energy disappears. Will you collapse? Will you chase harder? Will you reveal how fragile your confidence really was? A lot of men fail here, not because they're weak, but because they're unaware. They think pulling back means she's done, so they rush to fix it. Double text, over-explain, apologize for things they never even did, and just like that, they fail the test. You see, most women, especially when feelings run deep, aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for proof. Proof that you're solid when things feel shaky. Proof that your energy isn't glued to theirs. Proof that your frame is yours, and you won't hand it over just because she's being confusing. So when she pulls away, it's not always about punishment. It's about information. She's collecting data on your emotional stability. She's asking, does this man stay grounded when I shift? Or does he flinch the second I'm not smiling at him? And here's what women won't say out loud. The more she feels for you, the more likely she is to test you. Why? Because if she's going to open herself completely, she needs to know the man in front of her won't fall apart when she does. She's pulled away, not to push you out, but to see if you'll come chasing like the rest. Don't. When she backs off, you back into yourself. You don't fill the silence. You don't try to convince her that everything's fine. You just live. You stay. You let the space do the work. Because the moment you chase, you confirm that your calm was conditional, that your power was performative, and that your center lives inside her approval. But the man who doesn't react, he terrifies her in the best way. Because now she doesn't know what to expect. Now she realizes she's not in control. And that tension, that's where attraction grows. Not in your effort, but in your stillness. When she pulls back and you don't flinch, you trigger something ancient in her nervous system. Something that whispers, this man doesn't fear losing me. And that's magnetic. Because the truth is, women don't want to lead emotionally. They want to feel something stable enough to lean on. Not because they're weak, but because they're wired to test before they trust. So let her test. Let her pull away. Let her create space. And let that space expose her own emotions. Because once she sees that your world doesn't crumble, she starts to feel something she didn't expect. Desire. Not for your attention, but for your calm, your steadiness, your refusal to play emotional ping pong. She'll look at the messages you didn't send. She'll scroll through the silence you didn't fill. She'll replay moments where you should have reacted but didn't. And she'll wonder, who is this man? Why can't I shake him? And that, my friend, is how you flip the dynamic. You don't win by chasing. You win by staying. By standing still when she moves. By becoming the one variable she can't manipulate. Because when she pulls back and you don't break, you become unforgettable. Drop a comment. I hold my ground. And what's coming next will take that energy even further. You're about to understand how to hold frame in person. Number 8. Don't collapse. Hold the frame. When things get tense, most men fold. Not because they're weak, but because no one ever taught them what real strength looks like under pressure. In dating, especially with emotionally intense women, this is where the game changes. The woman might pull back. She might test you. She might start acting cold, indifferent, even disrespectful. And in those moments, your instinct is going to scream, "Fix it, chase, say something, prove yourself." But here's the truth. The moment you collapse, you lose everything. You lose the frame. You lose the power dynamic. You lose the emotional safety she was actually hoping to feel. Most guys think a relationship is about constantly adjusting to her mood. But what she really wants, what every feminine woman is craving, is a man who doesn't adjust just because she's spinning. She wants a man who stays rooted, still, unshaken, like a tree in a storm. That's what holding the frame means. It means you don't argue back when she throws a jab. You don't beg when she gets quiet. You don't try to overcompensate when she gets distant. You observe. You listen. You stay calm, not passive, not cold, just centered. Because you understand this. Her emotions are waves, and you are the shore. You don't rise and fall with every swell. You absorb. You respond if needed. But you never let her chaos dictate your behavior. This is the difference between being reactive and being grounded. Most men are reactive. They live in fear of losing her. So they bend themselves to fit whatever emotional shape she's in that day. But a stoic man, he holds frame. Not because he's trying to manipulate, but because he knows who he is, and nothing she does changes that. This doesn't mean you're unkind. It means you don't hand her your peace just because she's struggling with hers. It's in those moments where most men get nervous, jealous, angry, or needy that you choose stillness. And guess what? She feels it, even if she doesn't show it. She feels your restraint, your calm, your ability to weather her tests without falling apart. And whether she admits it or not, something inside her starts to soften. Because now, she's not dealing with a boy pretending to be confident. She's face to face with a man who doesn't need approval to stay composed. That's rare, and rare is magnetic. But here's the warning. The second you collapse emotionally, mentally, verbally, she clocks it. She doesn't have to yell. She doesn't have to say anything. You'll just notice something shift. Her tone changes. Her energy drops. She becomes colder, less impressed, less invested. Why? Because women are biologically wired to test strength. It's not cruelty, it's nature. They want to know, if I can shake you, how are you going to lead me? If she can move you emotionally with her silence or mood swings, you're not holding the frame. You're dancing to hers. And once that happens, it's hard to earn back. So, don't collapse. Even if you feel the urge to explain, even if the silence gets loud, even if you miss her more than you want to admit, breathe, pause, hold. Because the man who holds the frame when everything is screaming at him to lose it, he doesn't just keep her interest, he earns her respect. And trust me, once she respects you, everything changes. She leans in more, tests you less, feels safer. Because now she knows, this man doesn't fold. And that, right there, is when attraction deepens into something stronger, something she doesn't want to let go of. Drop a comment. I hold the frame. Next up, what happens when distance creates more desire than closeness ever could? Number 9. Distance creates desire, but only if you stay silent. Here's something no one tells you. Distance doesn't work if you can't stay silent. You think space alone will trigger her emotions? Not if you keep filling it with your voice. Not if you text her just to remind her you're still there. Not if you break the silence every time it gets uncomfortable. See, distance is a tool, but silence is the key. When a woman pulls back or disappears emotionally, she needs something from you. Not words, not reassurance, not explanations. She needs contrast. She needs to feel the weight of your absence. But the second you reach out too soon, the second you check in, just being nice, you kill that tension. You kill the unknown, and you kill the desire. Because now she knows exactly where you stand. And when a woman knows, she can still summon your energy whenever she wants. She doesn't miss it. She expects it. And there's no spark in what's expected. Let me be clear. This isn't about playing games or being cold. It's about discipline. It's about allowing your silence to speak louder than any paragraph ever could. When she doesn't hear from you, she starts to feel the shift. She begins to wonder, is he thinking about me? Has he moved on? Did I push too far? That wondering, that's desire waking up. But it only wakes up if you don't interrupt it. Most guys can't take the pressure. They wait a day or two, then crack. They send a joke, a memory, a check-in text. And just like that, the mystery dies. What would have been a powerful silence becomes just another moment of male neediness. If you want distance to work, you have to let it breathe. You have to give her space to miss you, to feel the contrast between your presence and your absence. And that doesn't happen in 24 hours. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes longer. Sometimes the pullback was real, and she's gone. But even then, silence wins, because it preserves your value. You never chase, you never beg, you never hand over your power just to feel better for a moment. Distance only creates desire if you can handle the discomfort of silence. That's what separates boys from men in this game. You think silence means weakness? Number. Silence is strategy. Because while you're quiet, she starts imagining. While you're absent, her mind fills in the blanks. And guess what? Her imagination paints a much stronger version of you than your words ever could. But the second you talk, you shrink. You define yourself. You cut off the mystery. That's what most men don't understand. Silence gives you power because it forces her to lean in, not physically, emotionally. She starts to chase with her thoughts. She replays moments. She second-guesses her decisions. But only if you don't ruin it with your own impatience. Holding silence is an art. It's not about punishing her. It's about respecting yourself enough not to break. You're not going to convince her to miss you with words. You're not going to rekindle anything with another message. Let her feel the void. Let her wonder if you're really gone. Let her learn what it's like not to have your energy filling her inbox. Because the man who disappears quietly without drama, without begging, without noise, that man, he becomes unforgettable. She'll scroll back through messages. She'll check your profile. She'll think about moments that felt casual at the Timonau, suddenly heavy with meaning. And you didn't have to say a word. That's the power of silence. But only if you're strong enough to hold it. Drop a comment. I stay silent. What's next? It's not just about keeping your mouth shut. It's about walking away so strong, she questions everything. Number 10. Become a storm she can't shake. Some men leave quietly. Some leave a trace. But very few leave a storm. I'm not talking about drama. I'm talking about impact. The kind she feels in her chest weeks after you've gone quiet. The kind that doesn't need a message, a call, or a post to remind her, because you're already inside her mind. You become that storm not by being loud, or flashy, or unpredictable. You become it by being unforgettable in your presence and unavailable in your absence. She pulls back. You don't react. She tests your silence. You don't flinch. She leaves. You stay still. And because you don't chase, she begins to feel something she didn't expect. Not guilt, not regret, but a strange, gnawing sense of loss. Not of attention, of power. Because the kind of man who walks away with his frame intact, who doesn't send one last emotional outburst, who disappears like a ghost but lingers like thunder, he's the man who becomes a storm she can't shake. She tries to move on, but every man after you feels light. Surface, predictable, because none of them made her feel your gravity. None of them could be still while she spun. None of them carried themselves with the quiet edge you had. None of them could hold her chaos without needing to tame it. You didn't argue. You didn't explain. You let her feel your absence. That silence? That's where the storm began. The storm isn't rage. It's not revenge. It's undeniable presence in your absence. And the more she tries to ignore it, the louder it echoes. Why? Because you weren't just a man she dated. You were a man who made her question herself, who didn't react like the rest, who didn't need her validation to stay grounded. You were different, and different lingers. It's easy to forget a man who mirrors your energy. It's impossible to forget a man who held his own when you were trying to shake him. That's what makes you unforgettable. Not what you said, not what you gave, but what you didn't need. You didn't need closure. You didn't need drama. You didn't need to chase. You just let go, and in doing so, became everything she now compares others to. That's the real storm. Not noise, not chaos, just clarity, just calm, a kind of silence that haunts. You didn't blow through her life, you settled in it, without force, without fear, without apology. And now, she can feel you in places where there's no sound, in moments when she's alone, in the gap between connection and confusion. And that's where storms live, not outside, inside. That's what you are now. She may not tell you. She may not reach out. She may even pretend she's fine. But the storm doesn't need her acknowledgement. It already changed the atmosphere. You don't return to prove it. You don't send reminders. You don't wait for validation. Because you're not chasing storms. You are one. And she'll feel that every time she meets a man who can't hold what you held, every time she tries to replicate the calm you brought, the stillness you carried, she'll search. But the storm doesn't come back. It just passes and stays in the air forever. And if you're still watching right now, that means you're not like most men. You're not chasing surface answers. You're building something stronger, something calmer, something unshakable. So if this video hit home, don't just scroll past. Subscribe to the channel right now. New lesson drop every single day. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. If you're ready to go deeper, join the Stoic Brotherhood. It's not for everyone, but if you're the kind of man who wants to stop reacting and start leading, you belong inside. Thanks for watching. Stay grounded, and I'll see you right here tomorrow.